Surprise! Girl, I bet you thought I had went and forgot. It's a special day tonight.
The origins and history of birthdays with biblical references. Birthdays have an ancient origin stemming from magic and paganism, similar to the origins of Christmas and Halloween. This belief in spirits is the reason for many, if not all, of the traditional birthday customs that are practiced today. It was feared that evil spirits were particularly attracted to people on their birthdays. To protect them from harm, friends and family would come to be with the birthday person and bring good thoughts and wishes. Giving gifts brought even more good cheer to ward off evil spirits. This is how birthday parties began. Some scholars believe that the cake in the ancient world has association with the annual cycles. Round shapes of cakes were preferred as these represented the singular nature of life, most specifically the sun and the moon. In ancient times, people prayed over the flames of an open fire. They believed that the smoke carried their thoughts up to the gods. Scholars also say that the custom of placing candles originated because people believed that the gods lived in the skies. They thought that lit candles helped to send signals and prayers to their god so that they could be answered more effectively. The other belief that people held was when a person makes a wish while blowing out a candle, a signal or a message was received by their god and the prayers would be answered. The tradition of placing candles on a birthday cake is attributed to early Greeks, who placed lit candles on cakes to make them glow like the moon. Greeks used them to take the cake to the temple of Artemis, the goddess of moon. In present times, too, people place candles on birthday cakes and a silent wish is made before blowing out the candle. It is believed that blowing out all candles in one breath means that the wish will come true and the person will enjoy good luck in the coming year. It is a day in which celebration centers completely around the birthday person. As the recipient of gifts, parties, and well-wishing, it is difficult to believe that this seemingly innocent celebration has its origin in ancient mystic beliefs. Supermodel Naomi Campbell celebrated her 36th birthday by living it up in the world's first and only 7-star hotel and rented out all 18 floors for 3 days. Her total cost, $1.8 million. This birthday celebration lasted 72 hours, along with a star-studded guest list and her millionaire boyfriend. One single party wouldn't be enough for this party girl, so she organized a few of them in New York, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Tokyo, and London. She paid $75,000 per guest, ensuring that they would have a great time on her 21st birthday. Saying happy birthday to friends and loved ones was society's superstitious way of protecting them from evil spirits. Birthday thumps, bumps, pinches, etc., party snappers, horns, and other noisemakers were also intended to scare off bad luck spirits. Blowing out all candles in one breath means the wish will come true and the person will enjoy good luck in the coming year. Some also smear out the name of the person before slicing the cake to bring good luck. If the cake fell while baking, it was considered to be a bad omen and signified bad luck for the person in the coming year. Other birthday traditions, such as surrounding the birthday person, singing the happy birthday song, even playing such games as pin the tail on the donkey, were all associated with warding off evil spirits and guessing the future and magic. Birthday celebrations are common to the Western culture. However, the origins of this yearly celebration was always linked to mysticism and astrology. The practice of celebrating one's birth in ancient times did not exist. The introduction of the Egyptian calendar became linked to astrology and fortune-telling. The keeping of birthdays then was important in ancient times, essentially due to the fact that the date of one's birth was directly related to casting of a person's horoscope. In early civilization, it was believed that horoscopes of ruling monarchs, their successors, and rivals had to be cast with care, and birthday omens meticulously examined, because the prognostications of kings and those of royalty affected the entire society. Pharaohs of ancient Egypt gave feasts for their birthdays. In ancient Rome, the emperor gave huge parties in honor of their own birthday. which included parades, circuses, and gladiatorial combat. The celebration of days was so important to the average Roman citizen that the Roman calendar designated a majority of days for some form of celebration, including many birthdays of gods and famous men. The custom of celebrating one's birth was considered a pagan practice during the 1st and 2nd century AD. Because astrology was closely linked with the date of one's birth, many early church fathers rejected the notion of honoring birthdays because astrology was condemned in the Bible. After the 4th century, celebrating one's birth became a common practice due largely in part to the Romans, who, having practiced this custom for thousands of years, began to embrace Christianity. The calendar we use today is not the same calendar that the Hebrews used. Our birthday, according to the Georgian calendar, is in fact our astrology date, because it does not fall on the same date as the Hebrew calendar every year. This is proven by the simple fact that every year the Hebrew feast days do not fall on the same day according to the Georgian calendar. When we acknowledge our birthday according to the Georgian calendar, we are letting people know our astrology date and not our actual birthday. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9. When thou art come into the land which Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahuwah. And because of these abominations, Yahuwah thy Elohim doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahuwah thy Elohim. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearkened unto observer of times, and unto diviners. But as for thee, Yahuwah thy Elohim hath not suffered thee so to do. Isaiah 47, verse 13. Ye are wearied in the multitude of your counselors. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the multi-prognosticators stand up and save you from what shall come upon you. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. The word birthday is mentioned 2 times in the Bible. On both occasions, it was a Gentile celebration in which a negative event occurred. Genesis 40, verse 20. Now it came to pass, on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. Then he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker. Also, Matthew chapter 14, verse 3. And Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. But when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel. And she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Yahushua. Ecclesiastes 7, verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Jeremiah 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which Yahuwah speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahuwah, Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain. Flavius Josephus, a 1st century Hebrew historian, says this regarding birthdays. Nay, indeed the law does not permit us to make festivals at the birth of our children. Origen of Alexandria, an early theologian of the Christian Church, wrote in 245 AD, "None of the saints who can be found who ever held a feast of banquet upon his birthday, or rejoiced on the day when his son or daughter was born." Origen also asserted that it was sinners alone and not saints who celebrated their birthdays. According to Micklock and Strong's Cyclopedia, Jews and early Christians regarded birthday celebrations as part of idolatrous worship. We do not honor the Heavenly Father by celebrating birthdays, especially that of His Son, Yahushua. It is no surprise that His birthday, and many others such as Abraham, Moses, Samuel, and John the Baptist, were not even mentioned in the Bible. It was never a custom to celebrate the birth of anyone amongst the Hebrews. It's concluded in this video that the celebration of birthdays was indeed a learned custom of the pagans, which Yahuwah forbade us to follow.